I spent 200 days in Pixelmon. I'll be leveling up brand new Pokemon, heightening all of their skills, and creating the best team possible. If you'd like to join me on my journey, the mod pack is linked down below in the description, as well as the IP to PokeSaga is play.pokesaga.org, so you can join me on the Dream Realm anytime. Please sit back, relax, and enjoy 200 days in Pixelmon. Alright, we are back surviving 200 days in this place. Wow, I really like my village. It's been a solid minute since I visited it, and it looks the exact same as when I left. Thankfully, no one has come here and somehow destroyed it. I guess figuring out the claim shovel in the 100 days was a pretty good idea. This orange building was the first place that I ever decided to lay conquest. Okay, it's not really conquest, I can't necessarily die here, but still, conquest. Our lovely little blue Poke Center, I really like it here, and I definitely needed more Pokemon. Wow, I have none. Then our trophy room. I remember doing this at the very end of the last video. It took forever to get every single one of these badges. However, I'm just glad it happened. Then I went through and invited some people from the chat to check out the town. I really like the bridge over to the battle center. It's a quite nice walk. And this arena with the Pokeballs, still probably one of my favorite spots. It's a great pixel art, I like it. While showing people around the town and some people showing off Pokemon, a couple of people wanted to battle over at the arena. I happily obliged because as the start of the 100 days, this is a great way to go. The main Pokemon they used was a Mewtwo and a shiny Greninja. I'm not gonna lie, this thing looks super epic, and I really love the graphics of Pixelmon. The battle went pretty slow at first, trading off Pokemon until one of them could get a hit in. The first one to faint was Paul's Greninja, but then he whipped out his Mewtwo to try and face the other Greninja and got one-shotted by Dark Pulse. And there was a questionable switch to a Charizard against a water type. I don't know what the thought process was there. Paul's Dragonite decided to do some major damage, taking out two of Jack's Pokemon, but that still wasn't enough. Paul wasn't able to keep up with Jack's Pokemon, and Jack ended up being the winner. However, it definitely inspired me to get some of those Pokemon for the next 100 days. But before I go and catch a Froakie and train him all the way up to a Greninja, I need to change some of the moves on my current Pokemon. Since I did previously do 100 days, I was given thousands of comments about how bad I am at Pokemon. And I took some advice. Not sure if it was great advice, but I went ahead and looked at some of the comments and I kind of changed the moves up based off what y'all told me. I went ahead and gave Earthquake to my Rayquaza, which I don't know if it was a great move, but I still have it to this day, which is past day 200, so I guess it worked. However, I did replace it with Dragon's Dance, so I'm not sure if that was a good call. Next up was my Mew. I got a lot of hate for what I put on my Mew, so I went ahead and switched it up a bit. I bought Body Press and then replaced Taunt with that because, well, it does a lot more and, again, comments. Then I had to go to Warp Tutor to learn a Dark move, which I didn't even know that he could learn, so, I mean, that's cool. However, the move that I actually wanted wasn't even available. Little upsetting, but I was able to look at some of the other moves and research them because that's what I have to do nowadays, and instead of being able to get Nightshade, I went with Shadow Claw. However, when I reread Poltergeist, I probably should have gone with that one. Not only does it do more, but it looks like a cooler move. What was I thinking? So I'm probably going to get a lot more comments about what I changed and how bad it was that I changed it, but I can live with that. Next up, I had some Pokemon on my team I was itching to replace. Obviously, last 100 days, I wasn't able to fulfill an entire team of legendaries, and I doubt I'll be able to this 100 days. But what I can do is make the best team I can think of in the time I have, and after watching the battle at the start of the video, I definitely want a Greninja. So after running into a little bit of an uncommon Lapras boss and absolutely destroying him, I went and sought out a Froakie. For some reason, while going around the rivers in the safari, it was actually quite difficult to see if there was a Froakie that spawned. I also went ahead and checked all the shorelines because I wasn't sure if he went on land or literally spawned under the water. At the same time, while I was looking around the area looking for at least a Froakie, a Frogadier, or a Greninja, I was interacting with some of the chat members, basically saying how desperate I was for a Greninja. Some of them decided to show off in chat some of the Greninjas that they have, and the fact is, they are amazing, and I'm gonna take a long time to train up for that. They also told me about Battle Bond, and I have no idea what that means or how to get it, so them telling me Battle Bond is a thing didn't really help. But eventually, I actually found a Froakie underwater. However, as soon as I initiated the battle, I realized that all of my Pokemon were basically level 100 and I had to run away from it. Then I also realized that I don't have any other non-level 100 Pokemon because I didn't really catch that many, so I may as well just try and bag it. As soon as I threw the first Pokeball, it actually worked, and I now have a Froakie. I checked the IVs on the little guy, realizing it was spectacularly low. There is no way I'm going to be able to catch a really good Froakie in the Safari. I asked chat what a better way to get a Froakie was, and they suggested hatching an egg from the GTS, which is the player-run auction. I scrolled through, checking every single egg, until I found a Froakie that is about 98%. The thing about it was only 25k. But before I could accept the deal, I needed to figure out how to actually hatch an egg. Then I was bombarded with, put it in your inventory, just keep it in your slots, so yeah, my bad. I purchased the 98% IV Froakie and we were good to go. He's now going to be chilling in my 6th slot for a little while. However, upon returning home, someone pointed out that I could actually speed up the process of the egg hatching. So yeah, I did that and then sped up the process and now I have a hatched Froakie. Although he is only level 1 and has 0 EVs, although the IVs are amazing, I still have a lot of training to do. I took him over to Warp Dev to start the process of leveling up, and oh boy, it seemed to go so fast at the beginning. After almost a single kill, he leveled up to 20, but later on it was like having to kill 6 of them to level up once. Thankfully, having a level 100 Rayquaza with all of his moves completely done made short work of these Blissies. By the end of this rotation, Greninja had the perfect amount of XP to level up all the way to 100. However, his moves didn't seem complete, and I went ahead and gave him Spikes instead of Water Pulse, as well as turning Quick Attack into Dark Pulse, which was something we saw earlier with Jack's Greninja. Next up in Greninja's training were the EVs. Now this is something that I always have to look up, and I currently just use Google. But unfortunately, almost every single time that I use the Blissleys to level up, they give me an EV of health, which I don't actually need. So I bought 26 berries and decided to take away all of the health from my Greninja. Actually, I don't know if this was a good idea or not. He could have been pretty powerful. The first EV I started with after clearing them all was Special Attack. However, me using my actual Greninja to do this was gonna take way too long, until I discovered the moveset that I actually needed to use against each Pokemon. Now you all pretty much know that I kinda suck at this game, and the only thing that I do know is types. So when he put out a fire Pokemon, I used my water moves, and the other ones, Dark Pulse was able to one-shot them. Which means he wasn't as bad to use for getting his own EVs after all. After Special Attack was done, I moved over to Speed. I guess the Speed is worth sacrificing health for. However, having a beefy Greninja would have been pretty cool. Then, after leaving the area where you train your EVs, I noticed a parkour. So of course I had to attempt it. When I made it to basically the last jump, I failed. But don't worry, cause I could have just edited that out and moved on. But I didn't. I don't know why I didn't. Why am I still talking about this? Anyway, we made it. Look at that. First try. Day 10 was pretty lackluster. I figured out that you can use tokens to actually increase IVs. So I went straight to my 98% Greninja and maxed him out all the way to 100. Now I have a battle perfect Greninja. I don't have a battle bond, which I still don't know what that means, but the Greninja's cool. After that, I realized I had plenty more tokens and went directly to my Rayquaza, who I insta-upgraded. I made him exactly 100% and now he is also battle perfect, and may I say, worth a lot of money. You guys also pointed out that Zygarde was one of the best Pokemon, and I had no clue about that. And since he was only at 69%, I decided to completely upgrade this guy. I used all of the rest of my tokens to max out his speed, and now he's at 84% instead of 69. I know I'm gonna miss the number 2, but it was definitely worth upgrading this man. After that, I went ahead and looked at GTS for another Pokemon, because this Tornadus is a little meh. He's a great Pokemon, but originally in the first 100 days, I thought he was a lightning type, which I was proven wrong pretty quickly. And then I saw a lovely Zekrom, who is easily one of my favorite Pokemon alongside Reshiram. Them working together is just the coolest thing in my opinion. Oh, I should have got a Reshiram too! Anyway, yep, I went ahead and bought the Zekrom, and now I have a lightning type. However, he is nowhere near the standard I want him to, so there's some stuff I gotta do. Since Zekrom was only level 5, I'm sure you can guess where I headed to next. However, this time, I actually used my 100% Ivy Greninja to level him up. Normally when I come to this place, I use the Rayquaza, but I decided to use the Greninja. Also, fun fact, I believe Greninja is Winter's favorite Pokemon, so if you've seen my duo videos, then you know who I'm talking about, and if you haven't, Winter's a season. And then once Zekrom had reached level 100, it was time to work on his EVs. This time, however, I decided to actually keep his health EVs, and I didn't Google anything about him. So Zekrom is my entire own creation. Every single move that he's gonna have, every single EV and IV level that he has is all gonna be because of me. However, I am using level 100 Pokemon already, so it's not much that can stop me. I don't know how much the EVs actually increase it, but I think he's already pretty good. Once he was maxed with speed, he was completely and utterly done with EVs because the Blissey's already giving him the health. But that's when something interesting happened. Someone from chat actually invited me to go fishing. He threw me a super rod and just told me to get to work. I flew over the water, cast my rod, and just watched it bob. Apparently from fishing you can get bottle caps, which at this point I had no idea what that meant. However, later I understand what those are, so don't flame me. But while I was fishing, I basically just constantly ran into more Pokemon, which wasn't what I expected to. I actually thought I would catch stuff, but I just kept catching Pokemon. I guess the goal was to fish up a boss Pokemon, fight it, win, and then get a bottle cap from its drops. However, while I spent some time with the boys fishing over on some dirt platforms, I didn't have that happen once. Also, I didn't see it happen to any of the other people that were with me, so it was kind of a little bit of a mistake to be here, but I enjoyed it. You could say that I wasted some time, but overall it was a great learning experience, and I'm sure that one of these times I will actually fish up something useful. Back at base, I feel like I haven't fully built my town. There's always one thing that I've wanted to build when I've played Pokemon, and so I'm going to attempt it right now. So I built up a bit with dirt and started trying to outline a gigantic sphere. Reason being, I'm gonna make a Pokeball on top of my base. However, the first build that I started to try and do ended up looking more like a cone. To be completely honest, I don't actually know how to make a sphere, so I was just going off of what I thought it would look like. But eventually I realized I'm gonna have to take a different approach to this and took down my first idea. That's when I started coming up with a better idea. I made a circle outline to follow instead of slowly making larger circles as I go. And I was successful in combining two sides in an almost perfect semicircle. Quarter of a circle. Half of a semicircle? That'll work. I continued copying the design all the way around the circle until I had a complete and finished product. Now I just have to copy this exact thing 2 more times. First I did it on the other vertical plane where I was able to make the 2 circles intersect in the middle, and then I went to the horizontal plane, which honestly this one looked more like a wheel. Wait a minute, wheels are not horizontal, are they? No, they're half and half. Anyway, now we have 3 complete circles, basically making a sphere. Then I went around the edges of the horizontal circle and started placing black concrete. This is basically the edge of the Pokeball where the red and the white are gonna meet. Actually, I probably didn't need to explain that. I'm sure you guys have seen Pokeballs before. I mean, I am playing Pixelmon. Once I finished the first 2 layers of the black concrete, I got rid of the dirt, placing in the 3rd layer, making it 3 tall. I hope this is enough and I don't actually have to do 5. Honestly, maybe I don't know how to build the Pokeball and I should be explaining it because I don't know what I'm doing. Then once that was done, I started laying down white concrete in the way that the dirt was set up. I don't really know how I'm going to continue going downward when it becomes diagonal stuff, but let's just hope I can figure it out later. I figure my best bet is to just follow this outline I've already previously made and try and curve it in as much as I can. However, the top started getting really difficult, not knowing how much I have to curve in because I don't really have an area at the bottom to set it. So that's what I decided to do. I decided to start from the bottom and see if that would help me build this better. Once I had a bottom circle done, I started slowly building other layers out, working up from there. Pretty much in hopes that as I went on, this would start to make more sense. Once I had 1/4 of the white concrete placed, I was able to remove some of the dirt lines and then start copying all of what I had just done over. However, once I got the second side done and we had half of the entire bottom section complete, the other sides were actually quite easy. Copying the other sides made more sense once you've already done it twice. However, while I was mid-building, something really cool happened in the server. A rare Dragonite world boss spawned. What that means is that everyone on the server can come together to try and kill the Dragonite. The people who get the most kills on the Dragonite are rewarded a ton of amazing loot. This loot can range from keys, tokens, money, basically anything you need in this game. So once that I got there, I started using my Rayquaza with V-Create to try and one-shot him consistently. Obviously, the faster you go, the more kills you're gonna get, the higher on the leaderboard you'll be. And since I'm no Pokemon master, it definitely took me a little while to get the hang of it with my first ever world boss. However, by the end of it, I managed to basically stay in 4th almost the entire time, raking over 30 plus kills on this Dragonite. Now, obviously, it's not a ton compared to the people in 1st, 2nd, and 3rd who probably got over a combined 200, but for me, I was really happy. However, 4th place doesn't get a key, but I did get 210 tokens as a reward, which means I can work on my IVs even more later. Upon returning home, I still have a few things I had to finish up, including the giant Pokeball, which I had almost finished by the time the boss spawned. Okay, well, only half of it was finished, but basically now we have the entire white part done, and it looks really good, even from a distance. I think I was quite successful in making a circle, and I am very happy with how far I've come. Next up was working on the red half of the sphere. I started by thinking that it would be easier to do it the entire way around as I went up, which was actually my first mistake with the first ever prototype to this build. So why I would think doing it with the red without a singular outline would be helpful, no idea. Eventually I moved on to doing the exact same thing I did in the bottom. I basically made a circle at the top so that I had somewhere I could extend to, as well as making all of the sides. This just made it easier to fill in every single corner instead of going up slowly but surely. However, what I mean when I say easy is more or less I was just slowly copying from below onto the top. It wasn't necessarily easy, but it wasn't too difficult either. Just very time consuming. Until we had the entire thing done, and now we have a gigantic Pokeball. This looks absolutely amazing, and I am so glad I was able to build this above my town. I mean, it's in it, but it's definitely above it. However, it just makes the area look so much cooler and much more Pokemon themed than it already was. I have some ideas for what I want on the inside of this, but we're not going to do that quite yet because I'm a little sick of building and I've got a few things on my mind. So if you remember correctly, from the boss raid, I actually got 200 plus tokens, but that's not nearly enough for what I want. However, if I do /Q, I can view all of the quests that are available for me to do for tokens. So I went ahead and looked through almost every single one of them, determining which one I wanted to do until I came across Pokehunter. That's the one I currently have equipped and the one that I've been slowly doing, but I am nowhere near my next goal. I have to almost kill 300 more Pokemon to get 100 tokens. Now, when you have max IV Pokemon, it's definitely worth it in the long run to do this 100 tokens, but right now it still feels like a chore. However, for the next solid few days, I was going around killing as many of the wild Pokemon as I could. If you're wondering why I didn't do it in Safari, where almost every single block is covered in another Pokemon, it's because those don't count as wild since they're spawned in that, warp. Which means I was stuck in the wilderness, slowly but surely killing Pokemon. However, I did later find one of the best methods that I was able to use was going to an ocean and then killing all of the water types. Oceans have a bigger range of area for Pokemon to spawn, as well as the sky and the water combining basically doubles your chances of getting another Pokemon to spawn. So I bunkered down in the ocean for a little while, killing the rest of the Pokemon I had to until I completed the first quest. 500 dead, probably innocent Pokemon, but I got 100 tokens for it, so I'm good with that. Now looking back at the quests, it takes a very long time to kill so many Pokemon, but tree chopping, that's a different story. So I decided it was time to become a Lumberjack and deforest an entire forest. However, before I even left my base, I saw a hill that had been terraformed for I don't know what this is. It's like someone tried to copy my builds but failed after finding me. And apparently they got a Moltres while I was gone, which is cool. I've got one too, but who lives here? Someone tell me. I also killed a rat on their front lawn. Anyway, back to the quest. Wait, there's more? We'll build next to my samurai thing. Oh man, y'all are going down for this. Back to the actual Lumberjack quest, I went into a forest and started cutting down so many trees. I had to get 500 logs, which, yes, it seems pretty easy, but when oak trees only offer 4 at a time, it takes a minute. Plus, now I'm thinking about who moved in next to me in the previous 100 days, or the in-between of the 100 and 200 days. While I was mining trees, I actually stumbled upon a Master Ball loot, which I quickly remembered is surrounded by oak wood. So not only do I get a Master Ball loot, but I also am able to mine a ton more oak wood than I would be able to with the original tree. This made processes a little bit quicker, but I also started flying around only looking for these areas. I basically decided regular trees weren't worth it and slowed down the entire process tenfold. But I was able to grab a ton of Master Ball loots. I didn't get a Master Ball, but I mean, hey, they look cool on the ground, so that's an upside. As soon as I had 500 oak logs, I was able to claim the quest and get another 50 tokens. Which, in the grand scheme of things, 50 tokens is literally 1% in an IV. Or it might be less than 1%. Whatever it is definitely not worth it. However, apparently 100 tokens is worth it for me because I went on the second Lumberjack quest. Since I was already in an oak forest, I started off with oak, of course, finding more Master Ball hideouts so that I could get as much oak as possible. Thankfully, this didn't take me too long because each of them had almost 100 logs inside of it. And since I only had to gather 750, you can do the math. The next wood I had to gather a bit of was dark oak. However, I warped to a roof forest and just started going ham on these massive trees. Again, this one only took a couple minutes because of how easy it was. The other wood I'm gonna have to gather though won't be so easy. After dark oak, I headed to the jungle where I tore down a mass of the forest. This one's not as easy to gather wood as dark oak, but it's pretty close. I think the biome I'm most worried about now is gathering 750 spruce, which turned out to be much harder than expected. This was basically the oak thing, but even worse, because the trees were so much more spread out. And I didn't even have any of the Master Ball spruce trees, which aren't a thing, that's why I didn't have it. However long this quest took me, it was definitely worth it for these 100 tokens. As soon as I claimed the reward, I now have basically 2 more IVs to upgrade. Why'd I say it was worth it again? Then my brilliant plan sprung into action. I used /vote to get some vote keys with the hope of getting some more tokens. Honestly, I'm just enthralled by all of the fireworks and noises, but I didn't get much that I loved. I ended up throwing most of the useless stuff out and stored some of the worthwhile things. Then I figured if I'm really gonna get the IVs up on my Pokemon, I should just ask if I can buy tokens. Apparently 1 token is $300. Which means if I wanted to buy, say, 1,000 tokens, I need $300,000, which I have, but let's not mention that part. The first person I bought tokens from was a man named Blaze. He had 525 tokens available for me, which means I can do over 10 IV upgrades. With the fixed rate, that's about $180,000. So I paid him, he paid me, and now I have quite a few tokens. Then I went to another man who was selling 1K, aka Dark Knight, which means I bought another 1,000 tokens for $300,000. But this is going to really help max out my team so that they are efficient as possible. Unfortunately, these were the only 2 people I could get to sell me tokens. I tried convincing other people in chat while I was sitting AFK around the base, but no one was biting. So then I just figured it was time to upgrade the IVs on some of the Pokemon. The Mew was the first one I got to 100%, which is almost insane to think about. I now have a Greninja, a Rayquaza, and a Mew all at 100% IVs. That is some major progress on my team. But if you remember correctly, the inside of the Pokeball is still completely hollow. So what I wanted to do on the inside was make 4 separate biomes for Pokemon to spawn in. I first sectioned them off with a plus sign made out of black concrete as like a little highway in between, separating each biome. Then I started on the first biome, which was going to be a plains with a few trees. I laid down the different layers of grass and then started working on the next area, as I'll do the details in a minute. I also wanted to do a semi-ice spike biome, even though we are totally in a flower forest and I'm never going to get any ice Pokemon to spawn here, it's still going to look really cool inside the Pokeball. Then after ice, I wanted to do a desert biome, but not just a regular desert biome, I wanted to do a semi-mesa desert biome. I wanted to use the red sand instead of regular sand because it just looks a little bit cooler to me and the colors seem to pop a lot more. However, doing this biome had its own challenge since I had to use red sandstone at the bottom because sand falls. And if I were to put just sand here, it wouldn't work whatsoever. But once I had one layer done, it was pretty easy to just cover it up with sand and move on to the next. Now the last biome I wanted to put into this place was the Nether, as it's a completely different dimension. However, I don't have all the stuff that I would usually use in 1.16 plus, because we're in 1.12.2. So I had to work with the old Netherrack, which, may I say, is absolutely disgusting. But for old Minecraft, I guess it works. However, once all these layers were laid out, now I can do some of the details and make it look actually put together in here. However, I realized the inside of the Pokeball isn't very even. So what I wanted to do was create another plus sign highway going all the way up to the top and then even out the sides that are made out of the red. Because obviously while placing all the red, there were blocks that were misplaced on the inside that I didn't think I'd have to worry about until right now. So first I finished up the archway of the black concrete going all the way up to the top, and then I went around and mined up as much of the red concrete that looked out of place as I could. I really hope it's even in here, so just don't point it out to me because I think it is. The easiest biome to do was obviously the plains, where I just basically bone mealed some trees and the grass. I mean, it made it look nice, but this is really all you have to do in this kind of a biome. Next up, I went to the snow biome, where I was able to use some ice to make some ice patches and ice spikes. Overall, it actually made it look really cool. However, I do wish some sort of ice Pokemon would spawn here. After that, I did the most insane tactic ever, where I put cactuses and dead bushes in the desert section. Now, obviously, it was meant to be a mesa area, but I got really lazy and forgot that mesas have clay or terracotta, whatever you want to call it. And so cacti and dead bushes is all it's gonna have. Lastly, in the Nether section, the best part about the old Nether was, of course, the Nether Fortress. So I decided to add one in, as well as a little area over here, just in case, like, another off branch was coming through the wall. And I figured it'd be better if it was actually deteriorated, so I went ahead and mined some of it and added a lava pool. So I mean, it kind of looks like a well-designed Nether, I guess. Then I went through and bought a few more tokens from chat and was able to upgrade a little bit more Ivies. I also ran around aimlessly and definitely wasn't watching a TV show on my second monitor without remembering I was recording. If you haven't seen the show Superman and Lois, then it's actually a really good version of Superman and definitely my favorite thus far, so yeah, I was a little enthralled by that. Then one of the admins on the server actually told me about a cloning machine. So I went through, gathered all of the materials for this, and crafted my own cloning machine and then, placed it inside of my PokeCenter very well. And decided to try and clone my Mew to get a Mewtwo, as that is easily my favorite legendary Pokemon. You guys may think that they're not awesome or anything, but I just love the look of Mewtwo, so I had to try and get one. So I accidentally right-clicked my Mew in there, and then I bought the diamond blocks that I need to enhance my chances of getting a Mewtwo, and I guess we'll just see what happens. Oh, and by this time, I was still watching Superman and Lois on the other screen, so whatever was going on here, I was not paying attention to. And then a Mewtwo actually spawned and broke the machine. So then I had to actually battle it and then use my Master Ball to catch it, and now I have a Mewtwo. I didn't even think that was gonna happen. I honestly thought I was gonna get a Ditto on my first try, but no, it was a Mewtwo. However, since somehow I got it on my first try, I had to go back and remake the cloning machine yet again just to see if I will either get another Mewtwo or get some Dittos, which I hear are good, but I don't really understand their moveset or anything, so I don't think I'll use it. But if I get Dittos, then I can probably sell them. So I went through and redid the entire process in hopes of getting another Mewtwo, but instead got 2 more Dittos, one of them actually being pretty decent and the other one being quite trash. Although I later realized that Dittos have a set price of like $500,000 to be sold, so basically no one's gonna be able to buy them because they're so expensive. But they also have really low Ivies, or most of them do, so I don't know why they're so expensive. I think that's just like a server error, but I don't know, I can't really sell them for that price. No one's gonna really buy them, unless I put my name on it. I should have done that. Yeah, I should have put WelcominTV on it. Maybe y'all would have bought it. After gaining a Mewtwo, I headed straight to Warp Dev, where I was able to start leveling him up. Thankfully, he was already at level 80, so it didn't take near as long as before, but I also had to start working on his EVs next. And me sitting here killing all these Blissleys means that his health is going to be a problem if I choose to take that away or not. However, later I thought having an actual full health Mewtwo would be useful in battle. So instead I decided to use my Rayquaza to use the XP All, which would boost the Mewtwo's speed. Rayquaza is just kind of an OP character that I have in my arsenal, so I basically use him for anything when it comes to EVs or training or anything like that. But once the Mewtwo was all EV'd up, it was time to see if I could come up with whatever it is to make him like Mega or Dynamax or whatever it is, Giga, I don't know anything about Pokemon. On my Mew, I have a Mewum Z or something like that, and I thought since I had a Mewtwo that it would work on it, so I had to get another one of those, right? Wrong. However, I didn't know that at first, and I warped to Ultra Space where you can find Beast Balls, which could have the possibility of a Mewum Z. So I basically flew around this place as much as I possibly could to grab as many of these Beast Balls as I could find. I was getting things like Flyum Z, water things. I don't even know what these things are called or what they do, other than the fact I believe if you put them on the type of Pokemon you want, it'll Mega Evolve or whatever. However, what I really wanted was the Mewum Z because I thought that's what I needed for this Mewtwo, and after a long time of venturing in here, I didn't get it. So instead, I contacted someone to actually get me, or for me to buy, a Mewum Z. And once I did, I put it on my Mewtwo, and it didn't even work. So there's a new plan that I have to do. Apparently, I should have done a little bit more research before doing this. Before I fully realized my mistake, I went ahead and put on 2 new moves on my Mewtwo just to differentiate him from my Mew. I went ahead and replaced Psychic with Focus Blast so that he has a fighting type move, as well as replacing Disable with Fire Blast so that he has a fire type move, since I don't have a fire type Pokemon. However, my Rayquaza and Mew I think both have fire. No, I replaced the one on my Mew. However, my Rayquaza does have V-Create, so that's pretty cool. Then I went up to the Pokeball to train my Mewtwo to see if any of those moves would actually Mega him. However, it didn't work because I don't have a Mewtwo Orb or whatever it is. I think it's actually Mewtwoanite Z, but I haven't figured that out yet because brain cells. When I was in my personal vaults, I realized that I actually had an empty orb. Now this orb was used to get me my current Moltres, which I'm not using now but did in the previous 100 days. And again in Articuno, I went ahead and made the Orb of Frozen Souls, which now I have to kill 375 wild Pokemon to fill up this orb so that I can use it at a shrine and then hopefully catch the Articuno. Now you can normally get this orb out of vote crates, but you can also find it somewhere on the map. I don't know if it's like end cities or desert temples, but you can find it legitimately. So it's actually quite easy to get a legendary Pokemon. And this one just takes a ton of time of me going around the wild and killing a ton of Pokemon, whether it's at my base, in the ocean, or just out in the plains somewhere. And while I was doing this, I found another house that was next to my area. I don't know how you guys found me. I don't think I ever showed my cords. But you guys were somehow able to find me and just build right outside of my property. So I guess I'm just going to use this guy's front lawn as my killing area for this orb. Oh yeah, and halfway through I was really hoping I would get some more tokens from vote crates, but ended up getting like berries and hoes. I don't know about this. Eventually I found a really great place for me to start farming Pokemon. It was right next to a river and a plains biome. So not only was I getting the water spawns, I was getting the flying above water spawns, the flower biome spawns, and the plain biome spawn. Definitely the best spot for farming 375 plus Pokemon. And it went pretty smoothly as well. I don't think I ever had any hiccups where I wasn't one-shotting or I had anything like come in the way of getting this Articuno. Not that I necessarily need it, but I really do kind of want to collect all the bird Pokemon. Sorry, bird legendary Pokemon. I don't want like a Hoot or something. 375 Pokemon later, I finally ended up by killing this Clefairy, and now I have a full Orb of Frozen Souls. So I went ahead and went to Warp Shrines where I was able to find the Articuno Shrine. This thing actually looks quite cool, and I'm glad that they have an entire warp dedicated to these birds. I put in the orb and an Articuno at level 70 spawned where I was able to use one of my Master Balls to catch it within an instant, because there's no way I'm going to accidentally one-shot this thing. I caught it and it was a 70% regular Ivies, which it's not terrible, but it's still not one of the best Pokemon in the game, so I'll probably just keep it in my PC for now. While I was semi-AFK chatting with chat, hanging out with people at my base, a little trainer decided to spawn. He was only level 20, so obviously nothing happened here, but I thought if I killed him, something would be given to me. Guess not. Then I spent some time interacting with people who didn't really know who I was, which is not an uncommon occurrence. I'm not huge, so I don't expect that, but I was just chatting with people in chat, enjoying some company, that kind of stuff. People really seemed to enjoy my base, or flying around it for some reason, so yeah, it was pretty chill. And while doing this, another boss spawned. Now I have no idea how to pronounce the name of this Pokemon, but it actually wasn't too hard to defeat. However, it did take me a little while to get the first kill because I was testing out what Pokemon does what. Again, I don't know types too well, so I was kind of just trying to figure out who does the most damage to this thing. I basically started always with using my Rayquaza and V-Create, hoping that that would do enough damage to one-shot it. However, every single time that I did that, I megaed it as well, which caused me to have a lot less time for the killing. Thankfully, I later realized that my Rayquaza with V-Crate can almost 100% of the time one-shot this Pokemon. So basically, every single one of my kills started going up so much faster in leaderboard. I was already in 3rd place on this boss, but as time went on, I gained 2nd. No way was I getting 1st. This guy was already at like 80 kills, but we were getting there. I was competing against 3rd the entire time, but eventually by the time the boss had been defeated, all of its health was depleted. That rhymed. I ended up in 2nd place with 35 plus kills. That's pretty good for me in the beginning, just trying to figure out what move is good against this thing. And in 2nd place, I was given a Master Key, which I warped a crate to do instantly. From the Master Crate, I can get some amazing tools, some stuff to level up my Pokemon, 4 Master Balls, random shiny Pokemon, random legendary Pokemon, a high IV Ditto, tons of money, pretty much anything I could ever want from this crate. And I ended up getting 200 tokens, which is actually quite good because, again, that can go towards my IVs. But that got me thinking about how I still don't have all of my Pokemon, or at least most of them, maxed IV'd. I still have this Zekrom that I need to upgrade, who's only at 94% right now. So I went through in chat to see if anyone else was selling any more tokens. Thankfully, someone named Bees was open to selling me 300 tokens, which is hopefully exactly what I'm going to be needing to finish off this Zekrom. And now I have 5 maxed Ivy battle-ready Pokemon. All I have left is the Mewtwo, who I doubt I'm going to be able to raise 20%. Unfortunately, no one else in chat was selling any tokens, as they are a camaraderie around here. Definitely one of the harder items to acquire. And while waiting around, something really weird happened. I was struck by lightning, and apparently everyone else on the server was too. I don't know what that's all about, but that's an issue. Now, one of the cool things the server offers is all of the crate keys, and I was gifted some of the best that you can get. The first one I decided to open were the shiny legendary crates. The first one that I got was a Tapu Fini, which I'm probably saying incorrectly, but that's how it reads in my opinion. And then right after that, I was given a shiny Celebi, which is probably meh. Celebi's not one of the best Pokemon. I mean, you can get it pretty easy with a GTS ball, but unfortunately, I haven't found one of those. After that, I was gifted 3 Omega Crate keys, which I opened and got 5 shiny Pokemon keys, as well as a I can't say that, and another legendary key, which I got a Moopa out of, and I don't even know what that is, nor do I think that sounds like a legendary. Next, I used my 5 shiny crate keys to get some of the shiny Pokemon. They weren't any legendaries, so I don't really care about them. Not because they're necessarily bad Pokemon, just because my team is already pretty high up there in level and skill. The last and final crate that I get to open up is 6 exotic crates. Now these ones are basically custom made skins for a Pokemon. The first one that I opened was Cosmic, and by the way, everybody in this server actually decided which ones that I picked. I was given a Ponyta, which was decently cool. Then after that, the chat decided on a Moon Pokemon. This one was a Moon Vibrava, that one, yep. And then someone suggested doing an Anubis, which was probably the best one I've gotten so far, which was given an Anubis for another one I can't say. What are the odds? Then I decided to pick one of my own, and since I grew up with Ben 10 early on, I definitely wanted a Ben 10, and I got a Ben 10 Greninja, which is actually really cool because now I can actually take the Greninja I have and replace it with this Ben 10 one, and have the same Pokemon on my team, but Ben 10. I only had 2 more left, and someone suggested Magical. I was given a Quagsire, and I've literally never even heard of this Pokemon, so I guess it was probably okay? And after that, my final one was a Rocket, which I could get a Mewtwo out of, but ended up getting an Espeon. That's actually okay, because if you remember in the original 100 days, my first ever Pokemon that I picked was an Eevee, so I actually like the Eevee evolutions. And after all of those crate keys, we basically have a full PC, or 1 box of it. That was a lot of keys. Now that I have a new Greninja who is unfortunately at 61% IVs, I have to train him up. Also the Pheromosa, which yes, now I can pronounce, I kind of want to train up as well, because a lot of the chat members said that this was a good Pokemon. However, before that, since I wanted to train up these 2 new Pokemon and I have to get up their IVs, someone told me about bottle caps. If you remember correctly, when I was fishing earlier in the video, someone told me that that's what I was looking for. However, I didn't fully understand the concept until right now. Gold bottle caps will make any Pokemon's IVs all of them shoot up to 100%, which means you'll have a perfect IV Pokemon. And then silver bottle caps will take one section, so the attack or the special attack, the speed, whatever, and shoot it all the way up to 31, which is 100% for that skill. So I want to do that exact thing on the Pheromosa and the Ben 10 Greninja. The Greninja definitely needed gold because none of his were at 100%. However, the Pheromosa had some of the moves at 31 out of 31. So I went ahead and bought from some guy 1 gold bottle cap and 2 silver bottle caps. I later acquired a 3rd bottle cap for the Pheromosa, but we don't need to talk about that. However, I can't use these until they are all level 100, so guess where I'm off to next. Unfortunately, these 2 Pokemon started at a way lesser level, and since I'm leveling up 2 at the same time, it's going to take a little bit longer since XP is being shared between both of them. The last time I was here, it was for the Mew, who was already at level 80, and unfortunately, these started at 5, so there's a bit of a difference. Eventually though, they landed at 100, which means now I can use bottle caps on them. So I went back to base where I gave my Greninja the gold bottle cap. Then I checked its stats and it was true, 100% battle ready Ben 10 Greninja. After that, I used 2 of the silver bottle caps that I have on my Anubis Pheromosa, who looks completely different than I thought she would. But now I only have 1 more section to fully master on the IVs for this Pokemon. To do that, I had to convince someone else in chat to sell me another silver bottle cap. And by convince, I mean paid for. And now I have a max IV Anubis Pheromosa. That is a lot to say. Lastly, with these 2 brand new Pokemon were the EVs, which of course you've seen before. Honestly, I would show you how this works again, but I'm pretty sure you watched the rest of the video to get to this point, so we'll just move past this. How about that? You like that? I like that. Okay, cool. And done. Now we have 2 awesome exotic style Pokemon with their own custom skins. I think that's actually really cool. Plus, it's a great feature on the server, and you know what? Maybe they're not permanently on my team, other than the Ben 10 Greninja. But overall, they look super epic. What are the odds that the next boss spawns is a Pheromosa? Yeah, I'd say 100%. This one, however, was an actual legendary boss, which means it gives you some event crates, which are much different than the crates you're used to. So I used my Rayquaza's V-Create almost every single time to one-hit the Pheromosa and gain my way up the leaderboard. Eventually, I launched all the way up to 2nd place and was slow going behind 1st, but keeping my spot in 2nd. Again, normally the people in 1st place are like double my skill level and are much faster than me. However, staying in 2nd is pretty cool. For getting in 2nd place, I got 1 boss key. So I went and used the key and got tier 3 essence, which increases the amount of Pokemon that spawn around me for 15 minutes. This would have been really useful when I was killing all those Pokemons earlier. Yes, what are the odds that I'm back at this place? But remember all of those Pokemon that I opened that were exotics? The Quagsire, the Vibe, the things I can't say? For my final send-off, I wanted to show them off in the Pokeball, all leveled up, all max evolved, all at level 100. And for me to do that, I have to be here leveling these things up for a few days. However, the XP was taking a little while. I didn't realize how many of these I had. But that's okay, because watching these evolve was quite cool. It's been a minute since I've evolved a Pokemon, and it is a cool process. But now that we have our full exotic team to level 100, I can finally show them off the right way. Each one of them looks really, really cool, and of course you can ride all the Pokemon on the server, so being able to interact with each and every one was super cool. But this is probably the team I am most proud of accomplishing over the 100 days. Okay, other than this giant Pokeball, this thing's pretty cool. And that was it, 200 days on PokeSaga. If you want to join me on here, the IP is play.pokesaga.org. And the mod pack that I used will be linked down below in the description. If you guys did enjoy this video, make sure to hit that like button down below and subscribe. Other than that, I've got nothing for you. Have a great rest of your day.